Let me start by making something absolutely clear. This is not a personal attack. I am not interested in roasting or tearing down an individual just for the sake of internet drama. Frankly, my ethics as a professional psychologist would not permit me that. What I am interested in is the system, the public qualifications, and the dangerous, exploitative loopholes currently operating within India's mental health landscape. Because mental health awareness has not yet reached the systemic maturity we see in some first world countries, we have a population that is highly vulnerable and largely unaware of clinical boundaries. This lack of awareness creates fertile ground for exploitation. Now, to understand how this ecosystem operates, we need to clarify three basic terms. In psychology, the German word Gestalt means whole or pattern. It refers to how the human mind naturally organizes fragments into a complete picture. Therapy, in a strict clinical sense, is a scientifically vetted, regulated framework designed to treat mental health conditions and behavioral patterns. Now, when you combine these two, you get Gestalt therapy. Founded in the mid 20th century by psychiatrist Fritz Perls and psychologist Laura Perls, it was developed as a specialized clinical approach to help individuals process deep psychological distress through present moment awareness. Because it is an intense, powerful modality, it was strictly intended to be administered by trained clinicians who understood neurobiology, psychopathology, and the complex design of trauma. Now, this brings us to a major structural issue in the wellness market. The practice of using clinical tools to further license other people without holding foundational medical or psychological degrees to begin with. Take the example of Anil Thomas. On his public social media profiles, his bio lists expertise in training, intervention, and research in neurolinguistics and Gestalt psychotherapy. Now, as a psychologist, what concerns me about the programs listed on his website are associate certification in Gestalt psychology, master certification in Gestalt psychology, integrated diploma program, core counseling skills, right? You also have basic intervention skills and approaches alongside eliciting trauma and structure of addiction, right? All of these require deep clinical expertise, which he doesn't have. Yet, an extensive search of his public profiles reveals a long list of private certifications and NLP training, but no university granted bachelor's, master's, or doctorate degree in clinical or counseling psychology. When uncredentialed practitioners are asked about their qualifications, they frequently point to their lineage or the famous mentors who certified them. Anil Thomas traces his training to figures like Father Richard Dick McHugh, John Grinder, Judith Delosier, and Robert Dilts. But looking objectively at the public verifiable academic backgrounds of these foundational figures reveals they are linguists, anthropologists, theologians, and corporate coaches, not licensed clinical psychologists. Private certificates passed down through training networks do not grant anyone legal, ethical, or scientific standing of a university, medical, or psychological degree. Now, I know there may be people who will come at me after watching this and fiercely defend him. They might cite their personal anecdotal experiences, sharing stories of feeling completely transformed or healed after a workshop with him, which is an interesting point and honestly entirely expected. But let me clarify what exactly that is. What you are experiencing is a well-documented human phenomenon called physiological catharsis. You do not need a psychology degree to trigger an emotional response. High-intensity workshops use specific experiential techniques to deliberately bring suppressed anxieties to the surface, causing participants to cry, scream or break down in front of a room. When a person experiences a massive emotional release, the brain naturally triggers a flood of neurochemicals that temporarily makes them feel lighter and relieved. This temporary physiological high is frequently mistaken for structural psychological healing. But inducing an emotional breakdown is only a technique, it is not complete therapy. I'm not surprised if you would even go on to defend him, saying that not just for a moment, I feel extremely good and it's for the long term. Because I know as a psychologist your place. The absolute core of real therapy, you must know, is clinical containment and integration. A university trained psychologist or psychiatrist spends years learning how to safely manage, ground, and rebuild a client after their trauma is exposed. Without that training, a practitioner risks opening deep emotional wounds and leaving the individual to navigate the psychological aftermath completely unprotected. The reality of this is that formalizing your practice in India is difficult, but it is rigorous by design. The mental health landscape is governed by stringent frameworks like the Rehabilitation Council of India (RCI). Furthermore, the National Commission for Allied and Healthcare Professions (NCAHP) Act of 2023 now standardizes the education, skills, and ethical accountability of behavioral health professionals across the country, ensuring uniform high quality training. Earning recognition from these bodies requires years of academic vetting. You simply cannot bypass these legal and ethical frameworks by creating your own proprietary courses. Doing so strips away the academic accountability required to keep patients safe. If someone is so genuinely keen on teaching and practicing psychotherapy, why not just pursue a formal master's degree in psychology? That is easier said than done. First, you can no longer just breeze through a correspondence course in India anymore. The University Grants Commission (UGC) recently banned distance and online learning for psychology degrees in India. This means you actually have to show up in person for rigorous full-time study. Second, even if he wanted to enroll in a legitimate, reputable university for a master's, they would demand a foundational bachelor's degree in psychology, and his is in
organic chemistry.
So, if completing the necessary academic training is out of reach, there is a very simple ethical alternative, which is just to stick to NLP. Stick to corporate training, communication frameworks, and business coaching, and stop selling Gestalt Psychotherapy in India. Otherwise, it simply becomes a case of a serious psychotherapeutic modality being extracted and exploited by academically untrained professionals. The bottom line is structural safety. If a practitioner does not hold a minimum of a master's degree in psychology or an MD in psychiatry, they lack the necessary academic vetting to manage your mental health safely. Evaluating public qualifications is a matter of critical public interest, and standardizing these boundaries ensures that vulnerable individuals receive the scientifically accountable care they deserve.